So again, today we will be diving into the 2024 linen fence opportunity. But before we get into the project itself, I've just got a couple of housekeeping items. First, I will note again that this session is being recorded and it will be available online. English language transcriptions are also available by clicking the live transcript button at the bottom of the screen and then selecting show subtitle. And subtitles can also be viewed in the recording. I would also like to acknowledge the history of the land that I sit on today. We recognize the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone Bannock and Northern Paiute people. I am Liana Hamby, Public Art Project Coordinator, and if you have any questions during the session, please submit them through the Q&A function whenever they come to you. There will also be time at the end to answer questions, and I am also available by phone or email, and my contact information is at the end of this presentation. So on the agenda today, we've got a project overview. We'll discuss the selection panel and process. We'll go over the application materials and criteria, as well as suggestion and then time for questions. And pictured to the right is our current linen fence artwork by Mindy Young. All right, so overview. Since our department's creation in 2008, we have offered this opportunity as a way to introduce artists to the public art process. We invite artists and artist teams to apply for this opportunity to create 4 new 2-foot by 4-foot works. And we're asking that this year artists communicate or reflect the passage of time. In order to do this, we are encouraging the use of unexpected or unconventional materials. And the artwork will be displayed for 1 year, after which it will be evaluated for acquisition. This 1-year time frame makes this project a really great opportunity for artists to experiment with those unconventional materials and to create a scenario in which your artwork can age, but you have a controlled timeline. Selected artists will receive $4,000 as well as panel materials up to a cost of $150. And Idaho artists are strongly encouraged to apply, and applicants must be 18 years or older. A few timeline details. The application deadline is on September 12th at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, and we have to hope to have an artist on board around October. The selected artist will have time to refine their proposal between October and February, and then the final artwork will be due in February of 2025. And the artwork display period is set for March 2025 through March 2026. All right, and before we get into the specifics of the application itself, I want to start with your application audience. A huge part of what makes public art is our public process, and selection is determined by a selection panel, which is made up of community and project stakeholders, not typically city staff. This group consists of artists, community members, and a member of the Arts and History Commission. All of our panelists score applications using the same set of criteria, using preset descriptors tied to point values. We'll go over these in a moment, but they're also included in the call. And after panelists score applications, we convene to discuss top scored applications and come to a consensus on an artist to award. Again, although myself or staff are present to facilitate discussion, we don't score and do not ultimately determine the selected artist. That is up to our panel. Up next is the application and application materials and criteria. So we use the application platform Submittable, which is free and I think pretty user-friendly. When you dive into our application on Submittable, you'll see a few different sections. The first is initial application questions. These are mostly contact information. You'll see your statement of interest. Think of this as your argument or your pitch for why you personally are a good fit for this project. We ask for a concept description. We ask that in this description you include your idea for all 4 panels. And this description also needs to answer the question, how would your concept and materials creatively reflect the passage of time? We also ask that you include a description of your materials and the anticipated form and visual effect of aging, exposure, and/or interaction. For this project, we also do request a visual concept, a sketch that includes all 4 panels. But remember that because these are uncompensated, only provide a rough depiction of your concept. This can be really helpful for our panelists to bridge the gap between your written description and your past work samples. We ask for 3 past work samples. I will say it is helpful if they are similar in medium or style to the work that you're proposing. And we also ask for a resume and optional personal identification questions. And to the right is an image of Miguel's linen fence project from 2021. So the criteria that our selection panel members will be scoring your applications against include this first section, eligibility, application completion, and safety of proposed materials. This is a pass-fail category that staff apply to our initial review. We don't ask panelists to review incomplete applications. And since we're asking for unconventional or unexpected uses of materials, we will also be reviewing internally for any sort of blatant safety concerns. So anything that is proposed that does seem unsafe for pedestrians, we will not pass those along to panelists. Panelists will be considering the quality of your proposed concept, the quality of the proposed experience, aesthetic considerations, and the evidence of an artist's ability to follow through, as well as whether or not the artist is a local Idaho artist. And we do include the top score for each of these categories, so exactly what our panelists will be considering for that top measure when they're reviewing applications. So for the concept, we're looking for concepts that include a narrative that is unique and communicates the passage of time conceptually and visually. A little bit of context here, in addition to relating both to time and change conceptually and visually. We are looking for concepts that are unlike things we've seen on the fence before or even within the application pool, trying to hit that unique factor. For the quality of the proposed experience, we are looking for concepts and materials that intend to age in a way that is unique, again, is visible to vehicle and pedestrian traffic, and encourages interaction. This interaction can be physical or more conceptual, but essentially something that draws you in and makes you stick around for a little while. For aesthetic considerations, we're looking for a proposed concept material and past work that indicates the proposed artwork would be exceptionally aesthetically pleasing and appropriate for all ages. And for the evidence of an artist's ability to follow through, we are looking for an artist who has provided ample evidence of their ability to follow through, which is typically communicated through the statement of interest and the resume. For Idaho artists, there's only one option, which is whether or not the artist is a local Idaho artist. We have come to the suggestions section, and I would suggest now, if you are able to access the question and answer feature, feel free to start populating any questions you might have, because we'll dive into that right after this next slide. So a few basic suggestions. Please review the application materials and criteria very carefully. Again, we don't ask panelists to review incomplete applications and the criteria that panelists will be scoring against are included in the call. Please review all of the application materials super carefully and answer all of the questions that are asked in there, specifically in the concept description section. Also, please remember to try to be clear and concise. Remember that you are communicating with strangers. Our panelists will be reviewing a lot of applications from folks that they are not familiar with. So your materials really need to be able to communicate your idea and your style with folks who are not coming into this necessarily familiar with you or your work. And please make special effort to connect your written descriptors to your medium, visual style, and past work. Examples. Your visual concept can help with this, but again, that doesn't mean you need to provide a complete, perfect rendering of what you're imagining. But you are responsible for connecting the dots between your concept and your ultimate visual style. And you don't want to leave panelists guessing too much. For example, if you were proposing a painted concept and you included a sort of sketched out outline of each panel, but all of your examples are past work sculptures, you would want to include additional context and information in some of those written portions to connect those dots between your sculpture practice and what you were proposing as painting for panelists to sort of grab onto and understand a little bit better. And finally, please remember that application pools are very competitive and beyond, just communicating your initial idea for this project, think critically about what you can contribute that is unique. Again, different from things we've seen on the fence before, as well as potentially different from other, what you would imagine other applicants might be submitting. Something that communicates the passage of time conceptually or narratively, communicates the passage of time visually, both from up close and at a distance, and encourages interaction, that desire to interact conceptually or physically, essentially to sort of stick around with the artwork a little bit longer. And if there are any questions, this is my, if there are any questions after this meeting, this is my contact information, my email and my phone number. You're welcome to shoot me a message or give me a call before the deadline, which again is September 12th at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And look at the questions. One of the questions is, do we want the artwork to age and change? Yes, that would be really exciting and really great to see. And I would just caution with that element of safety. So in addition to having aging and changing being part of your artwork conceptually, when you're looking at incorporating that physically, just be mindful of balancing that sort of experimental side with public safety. Another question is not seeing a page limit for the resume. We don't have a specific page limit for resume, but I would say to really focus your artist resume on those past experiences, not necessarily your past work, because we do have a separate section for those 3 past work examples for our panelists to review. If there are any other questions, again, we've got the Q&A button down at the bottom, and I can't see anyone or know if anyone is typing, so I will maybe wait another moment in case there are any other questions. But if not, thank you all for attending. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions leading up to the deadline. We're here to help. And oh, there is one more. Can we clearly define the idea of the passage of time? I think our hope is that individual artists who are applying can sort of take that phrase and interpret that for themselves. I think, when I think about the passage of time, I think about the tangible, year of display, but I think that could be broadened from an artist's perspective to consider a broader era of the passage of time into the future. I think there are a lot of different possibilities, conceptually speaking. And then physically, when we talk about age, you should take that 1 year display into account. But that shouldn't necessarily limit the concept or narrative. Another question is, when will notifications be available? We are aiming to select an artist in September or October, so to say by October, and we will notify artists pretty shortly after the selection panel makes their decision. And can more than one application be submitted by one artist? No, we do limit applications, one per artist. And if you are applying as a team, we ask that the team submit one application instead of each person applying with their own application, and to make clear that it is an artist team applying. All right, and if that is it for the questions, thank you all for being here. And feel free again to reach out with any other questions that come up. Thank you.